since I could.
What am I supposed to do?
I'm just scared, that's all.
Bad Girls, Thursday at 9, ITV 1.
We enter the lives of Britain's richest people after the news.
Thousands pay tribute as Queen prepares national address. Blair will help monitor a Middle East ceasefire. And Leeds beat Sunderland to keep European hopes alive.
The ITV Weekend News with Katie Derham.
Good evening. The public are still paying their respects to the Queen Mother tonight, nearly 2.5 days after her coffin was placed in Westminster Hall. At one stage today, the queues of people waiting their turn stretched for over 2 miles along the banks of the River Thames. Prince Andrew, visiting the crowds, told them he was overwhelmed by the turnout. Tomorrow, the Queen is expected to address the nation with her own tribute to her mother. Juliet Bremner reports.
Journey's End. The long wait is finally over as mourners tonight reached Westminster Hall. For many, it's been a full day's work, but one cheerfully undertaken. Even as the queue stretched for over 2 miles along the banks of the Thames and they listened to dire warnings of delays lasting up to 9 hours, they refused to be daunted. Their determination and stoicism were saluted by the Duke of York, who together with his daughters laughed and joked with people about just how vast the crowds were and how long everyone had waited to honour his grandmother. Tomorrow, the Queen is planning to pay her own tribute to her mother when she addresses the nation. She'll also use the occasion to thank the public for such unstinting support. This weekend, an estimated 200,000 people have filed past the coffin. The hall will stay open 22 hours a day, but staff say there has to be a cut-off point.
The message for the public is it will close finally, no flexibility, 6 o'clock Tuesday morning.
Having already visited the hall, the Kenny family today became the first to pitch their tent outside the Abbey, ready for the funeral.
The queue does now seem to be moving faster, but by the time people reach this stage within sight of Westminster, they've still been waiting for several hours. But they're well prepared and happy simply to be a part of an historical event.
With only one full day now remaining before the doors close, the race is on to ensure all those wanting to share that experience are allowed to do so. Juliet Bremner, ITV News, Westminster.
A picture of the Queen Mother as funny and kind was painted today by Princes William and Harry. In a rare interview, the princes said their great-grandmother loved a joke, on one occasion even impersonating the comedian Ali G. Here's Tom Bradby.
It's not yet been confirmed, but it now appears likely that the Queen will broadcast an address to the country tomorrow in advance of her mother's funeral. If some of the tributes this week have been emotional, Princes William and Harry recall the Queen Mother's lighter side in a rare interview. This was one of the Queen Mother's favourite pictures of a young Prince William, and he told the Press Association she loved a good laugh, even if the joke was about her. She had such a young sense of humour. Every single thing that went wrong or was funny for any reason, she laughed herself stupid about it. It kept us all sane. William and Harry recalled how they taught her to mimic the comic Ali G's trademark click of the fingers and tried to teach her about some of the inventions of modern life, like the mobile phone. Prince William said he'd been to lunch with her before going to university for the first time. Any good parties, she told him, invite me down. This has been a week of personal tributes by members of the Windsor family, but many people from all walks of life who knew the Queen Mother best agree that she was tough, determined, generous and funny. Tom Bradby, ITV News at St James's Palace.
Well, live now to Nicholas Owen, who's near Westminster Hall. Nick, the queues do finally appear to be ebbing away tonight.
I don't know about ebbing away. They're certainly much shorter than they were. I think that those joining the back of it now much closer to where we are, still going to have to wait an hour or so. It remains to be seen whether those queues will go on through the night. As we've been hearing, the hall will be closed early tomorrow morning for various things to be done. Open up again during the day tomorrow, and then there will be a final shutdown early on Tuesday morning. It's got to shut down then, of course, the day of the funeral.
Now, Nick, what do we know about the address the Queen's expected to make tomorrow?
Well, we mentioned this last night. I have to say it's still at the stage, I gather, of everybody hoping that it's going to take place. Not finally decided. If it does, the Queen will be at Windsor Castle for it. She's expected in it to give thanks for the life of her mother, also to express thanks for all the support and sympathy that the royal family has received, and also, if it's possible, to set the tone for that funeral service on Tuesday, which starts at about 11:30, and the Queen Mother's body will finally return to Windsor somewhere around 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Nick, thank you. Tony Blair has said tonight that international observers from countries including Britain could be sent to monitor a Middle East ceasefire. Speaking after his summit meeting with President Bush, Mr. Blair said the situation is now so grim that only external assistance can help. From Texas, here's John Sargent.
Tony Blair's Middle East initiative came in a speech at the end of his Texas visit in the library dedicated to the president's father. George Bush Sr. was president during the Gulf War. Mr. Blair declared that it was not yet time to take decisions about Saddam Hussein, and he concentrated instead on a proposal which has been backed by President Bush and discussed with European leaders. Civilian monitors from Britain and other countries would check that a withdrawal of Israeli forces had taken place and ensure that the Palestinian leadership was working to preserve the ceasefire.
In monitoring any such ceasefire and in ensuring that the Palestinian Authority genuinely take action against the terrorists, we and others stand ready to help in any way that we can.
The idea would be to return as quickly as possible to a peace process. This would aim to secure Israel's borders and establish a viable Palestinian state.
I know the deep-rooted objections to any outside help, but when the situation is as grim as it is now, only some external assistance can establish the minimum trust to get security back on the agenda in a realistic way. And without a proper ceasefire, we can't even take the first steps.
Tony Blair believes that his Northern Ireland experience is highly relevant. If there isn't a ceasefire and a proper political process, then the moderates are ignored and the extremists hold sway. Everyone must agree that in this complicated situation, a military solution is simply not possible. John Sargent, ITV News, at the George Bush Library in Texas.
Despite the calls for an end to the violence, Israel has refused to withdraw its forces from Palestinian towns. It's been another day of fierce fighting in the West Bank as the Israeli army continues its campaign to stamp out terrorism. At least 14 Palestinians have been killed in the town of Nablus. Police searching for the missing schoolgirl, Milly Dowler, said tonight they've received a